Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, and today we are doing something very exciting. We're going to be talking all things spring. Now, I know we're already technically in spring since March, but it's only started to feel like spring in Ireland in like the last week where we've had like a little bit of sun. So it's gotten me in the mood to pick my spring TBR and recommend some spring books to you guys. So that's what we're going to do today. So first, I'm going to go in with what I would recommend to ye as readers to read during the spring. The spring can be a very hard time, I think, to pick books because you want to pick like light and fluffy stuff, but a lot of books are based around summer in particular. And I feel like a lot of the books that will be good for summer are also good at the end of spring when it's like a transition period. But first off, I don't have any of the physical books because I cannot move. So I was not lugging all the books to be able to read to show them to you guys because that would have taken a lot of time. So first we're going to go in with any books by Elsie Silver. So we have I'm not sure what the first, Gold Rush Ranch. We have the Gold Rush Ranch series, we have Chestnut Springs, and we have the Rose Hill Ranch series. So they're all set in small towns in Canada and they're all interconnected standalone series. So you do not need to read them all necessarily in order, and you don't need to read them all at all really if you don't want to, but it 100% like gives you a way better understanding of all the characters, because there's a character in the Gold Rush Ranch series who is not important I would say, but is relevant in the Chestnut Springs series. Then we have a Chestnut Springs series character who is the first male that we follow in the Rose Hill Ranch. So it's all interconnected, but they can be read by themselves. But like personally, I'd read them all because they're amazing. Personally, Chestnut Springs is like God tier. Nothing will beat it. It's unreal. Like, it's a 5-book series. The found family inside that series, just them as a whole, as a group, and the way Elsie was able to write them as if like I knew them, it was unreal. Absolutely love Elsie Silver. I still haven't finished the Rose Hill Ranch. I have the last book in the series to read, but it's been a good one so far as well. Next, we have Funny Story by Emily Henry. Now, it's more summery, I feel, based off the cover, but it's a mix of spring and summer. I feel like you could read it in either season and be happy. And Funny Story follows Daphne and Miles. They come together under very unfortunate circumstances through their partners who have both decided that they love each other and that they want to be with each other. So Miles and Daphne have just been kind of dumped. And they end up moving in together. It is forced proximity. I don't even know what else you'd say. Like, they are just amazing characters. I felt so seen with both of them, between Daphne and Miles. Normally I find myself looking to the attributes of like the female characters, but I actually found a lot of traits in Miles that I really enjoyed. And Funny Story, or I was about to say Beach Read, but that really is a summer one, and so was Book Lovers and You and Me on Vacation. But I think Funny Story is one that you could read in either season and you'd be very happy. It is slowly but surely taking over Book Lovers in my head, I think, and I never thought I'd say that Funny Story is now my favourite Emily Henry book. I've just said that for the first time out loud, so you're hearing this for the first time. But Funny Story is my favourite, and absolutely. Another one I have physically here that I just saw, and I have one that I haven't read by this author on my TBR for spring, but I would recommend it based on the cover tea in spring because the cover just gives spring. So that's for my TBR. But No Matter What by Cara Bastone. I have never read a book by Cara Bastone. I requested this off NetGalley and thought I might get it. Didn't think I would, and I managed to get it. And it's a beautiful story. The cover, it's just the colours is really giving spring to me, and I feel like this is a book you could read in spring, and it has just came out like 2 weeks ago, I think. So I'd highly recommend that, or any of Cara Bastone's books. They kind of give spring/summer vibes. Because Ready or Not is 100% giving spring. And then You've Promised Me Sunshine, which is 100% giving summer. And then it's like, this is just like in between. But I highly, highly recommend it. It follows Roz and Vin, who are going through a very, very rough time in their marriage after a traumatic event has happened to them. And it's just following them finding themselves as well as finding their way back to each other through finding themselves. And it's such a beautiful story. You just need to read it. Now, the next one is Magnolia Parks. I feel like this is a perfect book to read in the spring. I think the covers give spring vibes. I think the characters give spring vibes. Personally, the Magnolia Parks gives more spring to me than the Daisy Hates. But I would highly, highly recommend it. If you don't know what Magnolia Parks is, you've probably been living under a rock. Magnolia Parks follows Magnolia and BJ, and we've Daisy Hates, which follows Daisy and Christian, and they are in the same universe, but they're their own stories. So you can read them separately, but I would read them as a whole series. I would go, like, you could read all the Magnolia Parks separately because we have all the Magnolia Parks books, and you wouldn't need to necessarily read the Daisy ones if you didn't want to. But I do like the going back and forth. So it goes Magnolia Parks, Daisy Hates, Magnolia Parks, The Long Way Home, I think. And then we have Daisy Hates, The Great Undoing. And then we have Magnolia Parks Into the Dark, which is the last one in the Magnolia Parks part of the series. And we're still waiting on the Daisy Hates announcement. And I don't know when that's ever going to happen, or if it's ever going to happen, to be honest, at this point. But that's the way you can read them. And you could also tandem read The Great Undoing and The Long Way Home, because the events that are happening in tandem. So you could do that too. But I've never done the tandem read. I've just read them one after the other. And I personally didn't like the first Daisy Hates book. Loved the second one. So it's just up to yourself what way you want to read it, but I'd highly recommend reading it in the spring/summertime because I feel like it just gives like girly like vibes, and it's just unreal. So the next series I'm going to recommend is a hockey romance series, and it is the Maple Hill series by Hannah Grace. The Maple Hill series, I feel like you could read them kind of whenever, but I just feel like it's the perfect time in the spring season to read stuff like that. It's fun and fluffy and whimsical. So yeah, I would recommend the Maple Hill series. So we have Icebreaker, Wildfire and Daydream. Wildfire particularly gives the most spring/summer vibes to me because it's set in a summer camp. So I feel like if you're trying to like get ready for the summertime, that would be a perfect one. But the whole series as a whole, it's a fluffy romance. It's really cute. It's spicy in parts, but there's also like really deep issues that these characters are dealing with that Hannah Grace explores really, really beautifully, I think. And I just will recommend the Maple Hill series to everyone because I just think the 3 books are amazing. I could have read hundreds more. If she had had more characters to write about, I would have. But I highly recommend them. And then last, but certainly not least, and it doesn't even matter what the season is. If I do another one in let's say if I do a spring one, I'll recommend these to you in the spring. If we do an autumn one, I'll recommend them in the autumn. And if we do a winter, I'll still recommend them in the winter. And that is The Boys of Tommen. If you have not read The Boys of Tommen, just read it. Basically, you don't need any info. Well, I'll give you the info. It is set in Cork in 2005, and it follows the core 10, which is our core 10 teenagers. We have Johnny, Shannon, Aoife, Joey, Gibbsy, Claire, Lizzie, Hughie, Katie, Feely. There's our 10. And I'm so proud of myself for getting that all in order as well. But it follows them. They go to the school called Tommen College. It is a fee-paying school, and it just follows Irish life, and Irish life particularly in 2005, and I think it follows it immaculately, personally, as an Irish person. And it's just following their lives. There's a lot of found family. There is a lot of trauma. There's a lot of grief. There is a lot of mental health issues. I would just advise looking up trigger warnings, no matter when you plan on reading this. But I do think the time of year, I feel like if I read these in like the winter, I would get like seasonal depression. Because the season, like with it being cold and it gets dark early and then like it's just not a vibe. But I feel like when we're getting into the spring, the evenings are lighter, I just feel like a lot of people's, including mine, I just feel like people are generally in better moods when it's the spring and summertime. So when you're reading about these really hard things, would it not be nice to read about them when it's sunny out versus when it's like dark at like 4 o'clock in the day? And that's all I'd say. So they're all the books I would recommend that I have read. Now we're going to move on to the books I would like to read this springtime. One I don't have yet because it's actually not out. And it is coming out... Sorry, I have 2 that have not came out yet, but they give the perfect spring/summer vibes. I don't know why I keep saying spring/summer, because this is a spring TBR, Jordan. But The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez and Fever Dream by Elsie Silver. They're 2 new releases by authors that I don't think I spoke about, other than Elsie Silver. I spoke about her in this video. But she is releasing, it's the start, I don't know, is it a new series or a standalone? And I don't have my phone with me to check, and again, I cannot get up to go and check. But I am very excited. Fever Dream comes out in either the start of April or the start of May, and The Night We Met by Abby Jimenez actually comes out in 2 days' time from when I'm filming this. I'm filming this the last week of March, so it comes out on Tuesday, and I will be getting it straight away, and hopefully reading it on release day, depending on how the rest of my reading goes. So they're the 2 I do not have because they're physically not out yet and I cannot get them. The next we already kind of saw, which is Ready or Not by Cara Bastone. I don't know anything about this other than there's a pregnancy in some way, and I'm assuming it's an accidental pregnancy. I'm not the biggest fan of accidental pregnancies, but the one thing I will say is Elsie Silver kind of changed my mind on that. I never thought that I would care about the accidental pregnancy trope. Not care, but I didn't think I'd like it or be able to read it. And I read it in Heartless and Reckless. There's 2 accidental pregnancies in the Chestnut Spring series. And I absolutely ate it up. So I fear I will eat it up with this, because if no matter what is anything to go by, I'm going to be absolutely obsessed with this one. Now, the only thing I will say, I can see on the cover, this guy is blonde. Mentally, he's not blonde. Mentally, he has brown hair. We're just going to do that because I cannot function with a blonde-haired man. So, I just love her writing. I'm so excited to get into this. I'm actually doing a TBR video in a minute where I pick my TBR for the month of April. And I'm hoping that this is on it. Because if it's not, I'm going to be really upset. If not, I can read it in May, I guess. But I would like to read it this month for some reason. And I think it's just because I read No Matter What and it's like sparked on like this love for Cara Bastone for me. But yes, we are going to be reading. Well, I'm going to be reading it this spring. I don't know if I'm going to be reading it this month, but sometime in spring this will be read. Next, I have Wildcard by Elsie Silver. This is the 4th book in the Rosehill Ranch series. And as I said, a cowboy romance is perfect for this time of year, I think. This is actually, is this my signed copy? This is not my signed copy. I don't know where my signed copy is. I thought this was it. So I must have 2 copies. This follows Bash and Genevieve, I want to say. I literally just read the book that she was not announced in, but she met. Basically, it is an age gap romance, and it is her ex-boyfriend's father, which I do not know how I feel about going into it. I will say that. I am a bit cautious going into this because of that. But I just want to find out her name. Why is her name not there? His name is there like twice. Wait, no. It's dual POV, so Bash. Genevieve. The infamous Genevieve. But I'm very excited for this. It's the last and the conclusion to the Rosehill Ranch series, as far as I'm aware. I don't think she's doing any more because she's just announced another series. But I'm hoping, yeah, there's an epilogue. I'm hoping there's one like in Hopeless where we see them all like come together as couples. But again, really excited. And look at the cover. It's beautiful. Elsie Silver does magic with her covers, or whoever is the designer of the covers does magic. Next is a novel love story. We're seeing a theme here. Bright colours. Spring colours. So this, as far as I am aware, this is this is a standalone book. There is some form of magical realism, because there's always some form of magical realism inside Ashley Poston's books. This is actually really sad. I just saw that I bought it in the American Book Centre. If you don't know, the American Book Centre is a Dutch shop. It's not Dutch, but it's the American Book Centre where they have all English books. And I bought that here, there, and I'm currently at home because I can't be there. But anyway, I think she loves books, and then she's travelling somewhere and then ends up in her favourite book. And I'm very excited for that. I've seen people I think you either really like this or you hate this, I think, personally. Because for me, I genuinely think I'm going to love it, because who doesn't want to be transported into their favourite book series? I mean, I am technically living my favourite book series. I live where my favourite book series is set. But what better thing to do than to just fall into the world of your favourite series, actually fall into it. And I'm just interested to see how it'll pan out. And I am not a huge fan of magical realism, but the way Ashley Poston does it, I've really enjoyed, which is why I've been able to read so many of her books. But yeah, and look how flappy. She's beautiful. Right, next. Picking Daisies on Sunday by Liana Sincotti, or I don't want to butcher your name, but I have no clue what this book is about at all. It's giving spring. I've had this on my TBR for ages, and I actually follow this author on TikTok, I think, and she posts really good TikToks about her other books. Don't Be in Love is one of them. That's the one I've seen as well, but I just want to read it. I'm very excited. It says, Danielle Daisy Marie wanted love. It's all she hoped for when watching endless rom-coms every Friday night. What she hadn't hoped for was to find it in her childhood best friend. Oh, childhood best friends to lovers. It was the hand trembling, heart thumping kind of love that wasn't supposed to happen when you saw your best friend. But it all ended when he didn't feel the same way. And she vowed to never see him again. And then obviously she sees him again, I'm assuming. Yeah. Okay, I'm excited for this. I hope I love this, because this cover is just giving everything a cover needs to give. And the other cover, I'll actually put it up here because it's beautiful, for Don't Be in Love, is also stunning. She outdoes herself with her covers, I swear to God. Next is The Library of Broken Hearts by Lucy Gilmore. I always get confused when I say her name, because I always think it's Lorelai Gilmore. Or what's that name of that author? The Pumpkin Spice Laurie Grimoire or something like that. I'm just making up authors' names at this point. Know nothing about this at all. I just think the colours give spring. So it says Chloe Sampson has been struggling to take care of her 3 years younger sibling, to find herself and to make ends meet. She's just about at the end of her rope when she stumbles across a rare old book at the library where she works, only to be shocked when her cranky hermit of a neighbour swoops in and offers to buy it for an exorbitant price. Intrigued, Chloe takes a closer look and discovers notes scribbled in the margins between two young lovers from back when the book was new. Oh my God. Unable to resist following the clues left behind, she's delighted to realise that this isn't only old books filled with romantic marginalia, but also she falls deeper into a breathless literary scavenger hunt. She's only left with questions. What happened to the lovers? It's giving, what's the name of that movie that Amanda Seyfried is in? I can't think of it. Yes, I can. Letters to Juliet, I think it is. And she finds the letter in the wall and she ends up unearthing a love story. That's really exciting. I need to start reading the backs of books more, because did you not just see the last 2 books took my breath away? Literally I went, but yeah, The Library of Borrowed Hearts. I'm very excited for that. And then we have Firefly Lane by Kirsten Hanna. I'm actually currently reading a Kirsten Hanna book. I'm reading Wild. I just started it. I already know what Firefly Lane is about. I already know what happens. I've watched the series before reading the book. I do want to see how different the book is though to the series, because there's parts of the series I didn't really enjoy, and there's certain parts of Elizabeth Heigl's character Tilly is her name, which I really didn't like. And I'd like to see, is that the way she's portrayed in the book? I'm not going to go into too much about it because I don't want to spoil anything, because obviously it's a Netflix series as well. But I like Kristen, I always get her name wrong. Kristen Hanna's writing. I love it. This book follows two friends. That's all I'll give you. Two childhood best friends throughout their lives into like their 40s or 50s, and just the trials and tribulations that friendships go through over decades. And it's a beautiful story. The series is beautiful, heartbreaking, but I really want to read it. Like, it is set in the summer of love, kind of like 1970s, but I do want to read it in the spring going into summertime, I think, because it'll just give that nice vibe, I hope. So that is all the books I would recommend to you, and all the books that I'm hoping to read this spring. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll talk to you in the next one.